Whether it's organizing adventure travel to Africa to see white rhinos chasing each other, climb around Machu Picchu in Peru, or explore lava tubes in Hawaii, my wife Elaine is a passionate professional adventure travel specialist. So, when she received a special offer from the Paul Gauguin, the only luxury cruise ship exclusively designed to sail among the islands and atolls of French Polynesia, off we flew. French Polynesia is 4,100 miles southeast of Los Angeles and is made up of several groups of islands, with the most famous being Tahiti and the Society Islands, which are known for their crystal clear azure waters, beautiful tropical scenery, relaxed lifestyle, and the incredible underwater world for divers and snorkelers. In addition to the Society Islands, the second main group is the Tuamotus, which are not really islands, but the largest chain of atolls in the world. French Polynesia is truly heaven on earth. It's like Pandora from the movie Avatar, but without all the ferocious animals and giant birds. The luxurious Paul Gauguin is a relatively small cruise ship with guest rooms and suites for 332 guests, plus a crew of one for each 1.5 guests. Our stateroom had a very comfortable bed with luxury linens which were changed twice a day, lots of mirrors, and a well-designed bar and TV console. Our own outdoor private balcony, plus 24-hour room service of whatever you wanted. There were 3 dining rooms. The main dining room served continental cuisine with open seating which didn't require reservations. The other, featuring the cuisine of a celebrated French chef, needed to be booked in advance. There was also a smaller third dining room facing the pool, featuring fresh grilled steaks and seafood. I really like this out-of-the-way bar, where you were serenaded by the pianist as afternoon tea was served. Then there was a bar at the casino and a bar next to the pool, just to make sure one could stay constantly lubricated. Since we came several days prior to our cruise, we decided to fly to Tikihau, one of the Tuamotus atolls, since we had read there was an exclusive resort and excellent snorkeling. After a short drive, we were transferred to a boat, which zipped us to the Pearl Beach Resort, since it was on its own private atoll. As we arrived, we were warmly greeted. We were then taken to our very private and exclusive over-the-water bungalow. Very large bedroom it had, central lounge, and a very spacious bathroom. In the center of the lounge, below the coffee table, was a glass opening, so you could see the fish swimming below. Outside, we had a large deck with bench and table, lounge chairs, plus stairs, which led to a ladder so one could easily step down into the ocean. We also had a very hungry crab come to visit. This was our lovely open-aired dining room, next to which was the pool, in case swimming in the warm ocean water was not pleasurable enough. There were lots of fish, a begging grouper, and a pack of black-tipped sharks. Unfortunately, the weather was overcast during our stay, and the ocean pretty rough. So, we were left to enjoy our bungalow. After our flight back to Tahiti, we boarded the Paul Gauguin and sailed to Huahine. This is one beautiful island with knockout Kodak views. Captain Cook was the first European to visit Huahine in 1869. One interesting thing we saw were the blue-eyed eels that grow to be 6 to 8 feet long. They are freshwater eels who live in a small stream and are fed canned fish by locals. They are considered sacred, since the local Polynesians believe they bring fresh water down from the mountain. See the blue eye? After visiting the eels, it was time to sail to Whakarava, which is the second largest atoll of the Tuamatos. It is roughly rectangular in shape, 27 miles long by 13 miles, with only 700 inhabitants. Upon landing, we decided to take a walk down the main street. As we walked along, we passed the island's main market. A local, working hard on stripping some logs using what looked like a traditional hand tool. But you can't guess what this is. Okay, it's the old lighthouse. Here's their new lighthouse out by the airport. We left Whakarava to sail to Rangiroa, which is one of the largest atolls in the world and large enough to fit the island of Tahiti inside its reef. Here we are entering the central lagoon. The highlight of Rangiroa was a boat trip to the Blue Lagoon. Upon arriving, we walked from the boat to the lagoon, which certainly was a brilliant shade of azure blue. After swimming and snorkeling, we were called for lunch. I particularly liked the coconut bread they baked. It had the consistency of a dense cake. After lunch, some of the guests went to feed the sharks that competed with the birds who would dive bomb for the food as the sharks were being fed. When we returned to the boat, our guide suggested we swim with the sharks. He first showed us it was safe. After we finished swimming, our guide started feeding them. As he enticed the sharks to come closer and closer, he grabbed one by his fin and lifted it out of the water. After struggling for a minute, the shark gave up and went limp. Poor shark, but dumb lucky guide, since he could have easily lost a finger or a hand. During that evening, we attended a Polynesian dance show starring some local children. Then they brought out the Big Mama show. Next stop was Bora Bora, which turned out to be the most beautiful and interesting island. Seeing Bora Bora from the distance, with a background of unique cloud formations, then up close, is breathtaking. Here we are, boarding our outrigger motorboat for our snorkeling excursion. As we zipped out to our destination, we were serenaded by our captain, Patrick. He just loved to play and sing. Soon we arrived at our destination, Stingray Central. Turns out, stingrays are like little puppy dogs who love to beg for food. Look at these two, trying to get the captain's attention. And my wife, stuffing fish morsels into this opening, which they use to suck in the fish. Having fed the stingrays and swum in the thousands of fish, we were taken to a motu for our traditional Polynesian luau. And what a lunch it turned out to be. They had spent the morning roasting chicken, duck, and a whole pig split in two halves inside this pit. Also the lobster barbecue. How do you like my lunch plate? After lunch, our guide serenaded us with his version of Over the Rainbow as we looked out at Bora Bora in the background. No one wanted to leave this motu. Next morning, we decided to go on an off-road trip around the island. After driving for a while, we turned off the road and drove up to a Kodak picture-perfect scene of Bora Bora. A little further up the road, we came to a plateau which had 2 gun installations from the Second World War. These guns were taken from a World War I battleship and placed here due to a strategic position above the only entrance to Bora Bora. There were 5,000 Marines stationed here during World War II, but the Japanese never came. Next stop was right next door, an island called Ta'a, another very picturesque island covered with dense vegetation. Ta'a is the vanilla growing center of the world. While on Ta'a, we tried drift snorkeling down this channel, which had a great view of the island of MOOREA in the background. But we passed through the channel much too quickly to see all the beautiful fish and unique coral. However, we were quickly rewarded by the afternoon spent on Paul Gauguin's private moto, snorkeling and enjoying more incredible food. Boy, did they know how to organize a great luau in paradise. With a main bar, floating bar, salad bar, barbecue bar, plus the dessert bar. And we had Polynesian singers to keep us entertained. What a wonderful location for swimming, snorkeling, and just plain relaxing. After making certain we had our fill of food and drink, we returned to our ship and set sail to the last island called MOOREA. Just 14 miles from Tahiti, MOOREA was another incredibly beautiful island with jagged peaks, beautiful valleys, and picturesque bays. We rented a car to drive around the island and drove up to a place called Belvedere Lookout, which had the most panoramic view of the island. What an incredible view of the 2 bays split by this mountain. Our last evening at sea, a professional Polynesian dance group came on board to dance under the stars. Returning to Tahiti, we had a day to explore and shop in Tahiti's main city of Papeete. It is the center of all commerce and trade. Papeete is bustling with traffic and packed with all sorts of shops. But the majority of shops were selling pearls. Pearls and more pearls. There was also a large market selling all sorts of local goods. A local band played traditional Polynesian ukuleles. Out on the main street, we encountered other street bands. It appears music is a big part of Polynesian culture. Since our flight was not scheduled to leave until midnight, we decided to spend the afternoon and evening at one of the top hotels, the Intercontinental Resort. The setting was magnificent. What a view from the lobby, looking out over the massive pool with MOOREA in the distance. And from the pool, looking back at the hotel lobby. They even had their own sandy beach. Strolling down the oceanfront path, we came to another natural saltwater pool. But our time in paradise was at an end. As we watched the sunset, we reluctantly had to say goodbye to Polynesia. What an adventure and privilege it was to visit heaven on earth. Call or email these numbers to learn more about adventures and escapes.